Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of the TBScouts Talking Heads Show. I'm your man Boris here with
Coach Tally.
and we just had an amazing episode, a great show, couple interviews, and
Listen, it was probably, I'm gonna say it. It's probably our best show. Can I say that yet? Because we only five
well,
shows.
they've all been great.
They
I
have.
They've the last few shows we've had, all the guests, everything's been great. But this was another action pack. I know you.
It was.
They all feel like the
It
best.
was.
Everyone is the best.
It was, but again, that personal relationship I have with one of the coaches, and then we had our first.
So go ahead and let them know.
Okay.
We're gonna go ahead and of course play the interviews for you guys, but let them know who our guests were today.
So we had our good friend, good mentor, great coach, San Antonio's Cole High School coach, Noe Cantu, and I'm gonna call him my new friend, musician, actor, author, podcast host, Troy Horne. Both those guys brought a lot of good information and just interacted in a way that honestly it wasn't an interview. It was just like the past guests we've always had, just two people coming on and just talking.
Yeah, a little fireside conversation.
Yes, that's all it was. That's all we want to bring. We don't want to bring so much of a you sit down and you suit and tied it, but more or less just, hey man, what are you doing? How you doing it? And let us get to know you. And I believe both guests did that. They let both guests let their hair down a little bit, and we got to know both of them I hope we got to know both of them on a more personal level, because that's the whole purpose of it all.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like you mentioned, both of those gentlemen. We have 2 interviews lined up. State champion coach Noe Cantu, and then brought on an author, Troy Horne. For a book that you're currently reading or have read, and had a great conversation with both of those guys.
Yep.
More importantly, it was just a genuine conversation.
It was.
It was.
I
think that our viewers are going to get a lot out of it, because I already know that I already got a lot out of it myself.
I'll let you know, in the beginning I was nervous, just to be honest. That's why I probably said it was probably, not to take anything from Coach Allen, which is a great coach up there in Marion, and Coach Weldon up there in Blanco, not to take anything from their interviews. But I feel like, I knew them a little bit more, so it was a little bit easier. But again, I kind of deal with, or not deal with, but I kind of interact more with Coach Cantu on a coaching level. So it's more of someone I think that, I admire a little bit. So with saying that, that's why it was I thought, an action-packed interview with him. And I thought it was going to be tougher, but it was really easy. And then same thing with meeting Mr. Horne, because again, never met him, never dealt with anybody.
An author, like a published
exactly.
author.
Not just that. He's well known before being an author. Again, he's a Broadway actor / musician. So I mean, he's not somebody just, he's been paved the way for him and his family, to where as though he didn't have to write the books. He's already established in what he's doing. So to kind of, just hear him out, hear his story, and talk with him and interact with him was amazing.
Yep, and it's something that everybody can relate to, because like we talked about during the interview, he's a dad.
He's a dad
who has a child playing basketball, just like a lot of our viewers and the parents watching and the players themselves watching. This is all stuff that we're already very familiar with. So 2 action-packed guests. Before I forget, I know you wanted to mention it last week on the show, but UIW has an event coming up, or a camp or something that you wanted to just at least let some of the people know in case they're interested in attending it or checking it out. So before we forget again, can you just mention what that is going on over at UIW?
On the 28th of August, UIW will be hosting an elite basketball camp for players that, high school players, 9th grade to 12th grade, incoming 9th grade to 12th grade, who believe they have what it takes to play at the next level. A camp that day, I believe it's from 8 to 12 or 8 to 4. But again, an action-packed day for them to really show the UIW staff if I'm collegiate ready. And don't forget, UIW is a D1 school here in the city of San Antonio. So with that being said, it's a great opportunity for you to put your skills on the line to see where you stack up. You know, it's like, so if you're not getting the looks you think you should get, this is a great opportunity to give it a try. Go out there and show what you can do. We'll definitely have the link in the episode, so you can just hit it if you want to be part of that. If not, then hey, more power to you. But at the same time, just a good opportunity for basketball players to really see if they can play at that level or compete at that level.
And just like we actually talked about during the interview with Troy Horne, we talked specifically about camps like this that players need to start going to when they're younger, freshmen, sophomores. Yep. Start going to these prospect camps and these elite camps just so that they can start building those relationships early. And this, just like we just finished talking with Troy Horne about the camps. Yep. Here you go talking about UIW. They have a camp coming up where it's just a good opportunity for you to start developing those relationships.
Correct.
With the younger guys, no, they're not going to walk out of that camp with an offer.
No, they won't.
Very rare are you going to walk out of a camp with an offer, but it gives you that initial starting point to just develop that relationship. So
correct. And that's what it's all about, just developing relationships in this basketball thing, because sometimes coaches don't have the relationships that as a player or a parent you need to have, and this is a beginning way to where as though, hey, you're not putting all the onus or the responsibility into your coach, you're putting it in yourself as a parent player. So I was like, hey, here's a good way. Here's one of the ones in the city. You don't have to go far, and it's a real reasonable price. And again, something that a lot of players need to look forward to trying to do if they didn't know that it's available.
Yeah, and that's one of the things also that I think is good that we try to do on this show is let the community know about events that can actually help them along their basketball journey. It's cool to just talk about things, but let's also talk about things that can actually help people,
correct,
better their lives or better their skills. So we're going to start talking about more events coming up with you mentioning that. So that is on the 28th, you
28th,
said? So that's next weekend. Also, on the topic of just kind of promoting events and things like that going on here in town, next weekend also, the 27th and the 28th, I know Strength in Motion is having an event where they're going to have like Steel, some kids from Steel High School are going to be competing, and they actually have some teams, international teams. So something that I don't think we've really seen a lot in the city as far as, teams from out of the country that have the opportunity to come in and play against, some people here. So that's just another event that's going on next week.
So real quick, would it be a 2-day event or a 1-day event?
That is a 2-day event. It's going on Saturday and it's going on Sunday. For more information, you can just look up the Strength in Motion, check out their Instagram page, check out their website. They have more information about it. But that's an event that's going to be going on next weekend, August 27th and 28th. That's a Strength in Motion event. It's going to be over at the Gervin Center. And then you mentioned on the Sunday, the 28th, there's a Prospect Elite Camp going on for UIW, University of Incarnate Word, for those players that are still looking for opportunities to meet coaches and develop some of those relationships. So a couple events there. I know we still got to roll these interviews that we just completed, but do you have anything else that you want to recap or talk about?
Yeah, let's not take up too much of their time with me and you. We want to get a whole lot of that in the end season. Let's go ahead and get to these coaches and the guests to kind of spearhead that and get the ball rolling with these guys, because that's what the people really come to see. Yes, cool. They do enjoy us, but our guests are pretty enjoyable also.
Yeah, hey, we love our guests, we love our viewers, and with that being said, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Also, check out the website.
Hold on. Share it also. Share it to your friends. Make sure everyone knows that, we're here, and tell them the same thing, to like, subscribe, and share. Yes,
please share the show. It's amazing how good when you see people sharing the show and sharing your vision. Yep. It makes you feel good inside, and it motivates us to keep wanting to give back and find topics to talk about that people want to know more about. So again, we appreciate everybody's support. I've had a lot of good feedback. I was telling you earlier, I was just out in the community, and one of the parents from one of the kids in your organization called my name across the parking lot and was like, "Hey, I saw the podcast you guys are doing. We're rooting for you." So, parent, you know who you are. Thank you very much for getting my attention that day and just letting us know that you support the show because it means a lot to us.
It does. Thank you. Thank you.
So with that being said, you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, with that being said, we'll go ahead and roll these interviews, and y'all enjoy it. Give us some feedback, some comments. Let us know who else you guys want to see us bring on the show, and we'll start working on next week's episode as well. So
that's it.
As always, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
All right, cool, Coach. Everybody know who Coach Cantu is, but at the same time, they really don't know. So, hey, Coach, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and let everybody get it.
So I'm Coach Noe Cantu. I'm the head basketball coach at San Antonio Cole High School. Been there for the last 5 years. So this will actually be my 6th year here in San Antonio. I'm originally from Victoria. Coached at Victoria West for about 6 years before I came here to San Antonio to be the head coach. So had a good run of things, and here we are, another year, getting ready to get going.
And I appreciate you being modest right now, but I'm gonna read some of your accolades since you've been here. And like I sent you the little text I sent you. Hey, as I was, going over my little research, I'm kind of like at amazed, like, wow, you really, you came here and took over a school program and really put them back on the map and did a great job. But like you said, this is being going to be your 5th year, correct? Or 6th year, excuse me. And you went 4 years to the state tournament. I don't think it's a school in San Antonio that can say that right now, correct?
Yeah, I think as far as on the guys' side, I don't think any school in San Antonio has been there 4 years in a row. I mean, don't quote me on that, but as far as UIL basketball, I don't think any guys' team has been to state tournament 4 years in a row.
2-time state champions, 2020 co-champions with, I believe it was Dallas Madison, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. And then 2021, you guys actually won it all. So that was a great accomplishment for you and your boys. Also, you're the NFHS Texas Basketball Coach of the Year for 2021. And also you're a guest speaker for the Texas High School Coaches Association. Hey, can you elaborate on that one a little bit more? Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so I've been a guest speaker at a coaching school. It's been here in San Antonio, so it's a kind of big old convention for all coaches across Texas. What they do is they kind of all meet here in San Antonio, the Henry B. Gonzalez over the building over there. And so what they do is it's for all sports. I think they had something like 60,000 coaches there this year. It's all coaches around Texas, and so. Guest speakers in all sports, football, basketball, baseball, track. I mean, I think, Kirby Smart talked for football, national champion over there. I know Nick Saban's talked. Basketball-wise this year, they had Kelvin Sampson from University of Houston. They had UT Arlington. So they usually get some big-time speakers that come down as far as college, and they'll ask a couple high school coaches to give a lecture or a demonstration. So we've been fortunate enough to be asked for the last 3 years. So yeah, we did that again this year. It's always pretty fun just to kind of meet new coaches, just different coaches from, not just San Antonio, but just around the state from everywhere, up from the Panhandle all the way down to the Valley and just, everywhere in between. So just meeting new coaches, getting to meet those guys in person, because you hear about a lot of programs on Twitter and social media, but to actually kind of meet these guys in person, it's always really cool. It's always really humbling too, just to be asked to present at a convention like that.
That would be.
And can you elaborate? Because I know that I've heard of like the TABC, and what was the name of that? What's the name of that organization that you speak at?
So this is Texas High School Coaches. So TABC is that's like Texas Association of Basketball Coaches. That's just like basketball. It's just straight basketball. So that's like an organization just designed for basketball coaches. THSCA, that's an organization for all coaches. So this is more of a total athletics program deal compared to TABC, which is just straight geared to just basketball.
Nice. So you have coaches, probably like volleyball coaches and tennis coaches, all high school. So it's a much bigger audience. So nice.
Yeah, very, very big. And like I said, they do a good job at THSCA because they'll bring in guest speakers for all sports. I know they do track and everything. Football, basketball, baseball, cross country. So it's a really big convention where a lot of coaches come down for a weekend.
And I mentioned a number earlier, but what's like the biggest crowd that you've spoken in front of?
Oh, I mean, that was just the total amount. I think there's like 60,000 coaches like all together at that convention. But when we present, there's a couple hundred people, a couple hundred people, and it's usually obviously all basketball coaches. So I know this year we did a court demonstration. So they actually have a court. We kind of run a practice. Coaches will kind of sit down, kind of watch what we do. Last year, we actually did a court demonstration, but we also did a lecture. So we were in a lecture hall with a big lecture hall, big audience there, and did like a PowerPoint and things like that. So there's different kind of speaking engagements that they give you. But this year, we only did an on-court demonstration. But last year, we did a lecture and an on-court.
Nice.
Coach, you staying busy over there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, when you, it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, right? I think when you win some things, and everybody kind of wants to, you got a lot of engagements that you have over the summer. But I guess that's a good thing. When you lose, I don't think anybody really wants to talk to you too much. So we've been blessed to be in some good situations.
So since you mentioned that, as far as you're winning a lot over there, let's talk about that a little bit. What do you? Again, you have some very talented players from your runs every year, but what do you really contribute to the success you've been having every year?
It's kind of like what you just said. I mean, obviously, you got to have really good players to win. I don't ever want to sit up here and tell you that I'm some great coach, because we got some of the best players. Whether it's in San Antonio or in the state, we've had some of the best players in the country. At one point with Vince. So, I mean, you got to have a lot of talent to have success. We've certainly had that. But I think one of the biggest things that we talk about is just having a lot of sacrifice. I think when you have a lot of talent, especially nowadays, kids, kind of all about themselves and their numbers and their stats and their exposure and things like that. I think we've kind of been able to break it down to where, it's much more about the team success rather than the individual success. Because of their sacrifice, we've had a lot of team success, and so I tell them all the time. I said, look, if you want individual recognition, you got to win. You go to regional tournaments or you go to state tournaments, you win state championships, you're going to get that individual recognition that you want. So it's kind of like works both ways. I think sometimes the kids think, well, I got to score 20 points to be noticed, but I mean, that's nothing if you're not having success. So I think they've bought into winning. And they know that winning is going to lead to individual exposure.
Okay. Well, that leads to my next question. How are we looking this year, Coach? Let's talk about that. What you think? How far are we going this year? You can be honest. It's okay.
I really don't know. That's going to be all dependent on those guys. Obviously we lost a lot of talented guys, and we got 3 guys that left that are currently on Division I rosters. You could look them up right now. So we got 3 guys on Division I rosters that left. So that's a lot of talent to leave. But I like the group that we have. They're extremely talented. A lot of people don't know much about them, and I think that's more or less because we've had such talented players in front of them. And I used to tell people all the time, I'm like, we got some good guys, but people don't know because we've had great players in front of them. So I think this is a great chance for those young guys to kind of make a name for themselves, because they've kind of been waiting for this. They've been waiting for this moment and this time, and now it's here. But really, our success is going to be determined, how much work they put in, how much sacrifice they want to do, how much, how hard they're going to work. I think the talent's there for us to be successful. But I've been around a lot of talented teams that underachieve. So it's really going to kind of be a mixture of how hard they work, and how much they want it.
Okay. So leading to my next question. Name some of the guys we need to be looking for this year or looking at this year while you guys are playing because one thing you do a great job at, you do a tough fall schedule. Yeah. I used to always just look at you and be like, why, Coach? But I see why. Again, your proof's in your pudding over there. So who we need to be looking out for?
So we got two guys that started all of last year, and they're back. So we got James Livingston, and then we got Kenny Atumrasi. So they both started as sophomores last year. They got a lot of experience. I think being able to play on a state championship team, get to the state championship, play major minutes. I think that's kind of like people really underestimate just how important that is. James hit two big threes in the state championship game. Kenny had 10 points and 8 rebounds in the state championship game. And I mean, when you have those kind of numbers at the highest level in the most pressured situation, they're probably going to have a lot of confidence coming into this year that most people won't. So we're looking for them to kind of hopefully be some leaders this year, stand out for us and help us lead. Then we got Marcel. He's about 6'6". He's another guy. He got in the state championship game. He probably played about 5 or 6 minutes, which is if you really think about it, that's good minutes in a state championship game. So he played about 6 minutes. He was on the bench last year a lot, kind of a role player, but he's got great height, great length. He's really put a lot of time in this offseason. So I'm looking forward to him doing some big things. Then we got some young guys that, kind of played on the JV, but, once again, like I would tell people, some of the guys on JV probably shouldn't have been on JV, but they had to because we had such great players on our varsity. And so like Asian, Hassan Din Ratana, Logan, Beckstrom, they were on the JV. Our JV didn't lose a district game. Shoot, they even beat some of the 6A JVs that we played against. But like I said, they really weren't JV players. They probably should have been on the varsity, but they weren't going to get any minutes with the players that we had. So those guys, even though they didn't play a lot of varsity games, we got them in as much as we could. But I think they're going to be really good because, like I said, they were extremely talented. But like I said, we've just had some good guys in front of them. So, those 5 will hopefully lead the way for us. And then we got a couple young guys that I like. They're going to have to develop and get better. And so, like I said, whoever kind of rises to the top and all that's going to get the minutes.
So you mentioned Kenny. Real quick, if I'm correct, he's a football player also, right? I think he's like one of the top receivers or tight ends in the state of Texas. Am I right?
Yeah. So Kenny I think he's one of the few guys that we got playing football.
Okay.
But great thing, I think, he's perfect for us. We got a lot of guys that are straight basketball guys. And that's great, and they spend a lot of time in the gym. But I think what Kenny brings to us is he brings obviously a lot of toughness. I mean, that guy, if you see him in person, he looks like a man. He is a scary looking kid. He's probably about 6'3", 220 pounds, and there is not an ounce of fat on him at all. So he is a big boy, and he is very mean and very physical, and he's exactly what we need. And yeah, definitely football is his first love and his first passion. So we obviously support him in that. And we don't bother him too much, especially during football season. We want him to focus on that. Once he gets done with football, we'll be looking forward to having him with us. But he is one of the top tight ends, defensive ends in the state. And I would not be surprised if he picks up some offers on the football field here recently, because there's not many guys in high school that look like him that are walking around.
So that leads to a good question in reference to how do you juggle that? I know I talked to the Blancos coach in reference to how does he juggle, because he is an actual football coach also, but how do you juggle the players playing football and playing basketball for you guys? Because, being 3A.
For us, we don't have a lot of them. We don't have a lot of guys that play football. A lot of our guys, they play straight basketball. So we try to keep them busy. If they're just going to play basketball, we're going to keep them as busy as possible. And that's why we're in summer leagues, we're in summer tournaments, fall leagues, fall tournaments. And even though this might not be our total varsity team, because we do got a couple guys that play football, keep them occupied as much as we can. I think, whether they're playing football, if they're playing football, that's great. They're going to a practice every day. They're competing every week. And so that's what we want. I think sometimes what happens is when you're not in your season, like our basketball guys, obviously it's not basketball season right now. I still want them competing. I still want them working out every day, just like they were. So we keep them busy. And then obviously when football gets done, they'll join right in. But the great thing for us is, I've been there for 5 years. So a lot of those guys that come from football, they already know the system. They know the They know the practice routine. They know the drills. So there's not much like having to teach them so much. It's more or less just kind of getting them acclimated to get in basketball shape and having a basketball in their hands.
That's again, I think one program wise, you're one of the few programs that, all year round, you allow your gym to be open all year round. I remember I heard you on another pod, and you were mentioning that how you do allow your gym to be open. Do you kind of credit that to the preparation for your season of play, or it's just a total encompassing, just them believing in the program?
Well, I mean, it's two ways. I mean, I'm like any other coach here, in the summertime, I want my time and I need to get away. But, also too, man, I think when you've got kids that want to be in the gym, I think the right message is, okay, if you want to get in, I'll open it for you, Right. And so that kind of lets them know that, okay, we need to work. We can work. There is somewhere to work. There's no excuses for me not to work. I think sometimes kids can't get in the gym and it gives them an excuse to kind of not do anything and be lazy. But for us, our gym's pretty much always open. I'm always going to open that thing unless I'm out of town, which is not too much, or I'll find a way to get that thing open. So I think what it tells our guys is that, there's no excuses for our guys. If you didn't work out in the summer, you didn't come to the gym, that's not on me, that's on you, because this place was open. So, usually when we come back in October for practice, if you were in the gym, that's great. And if you weren't, that's also on you too as well.
All right. So are y'all back in school?
Yeah. So we just started. We last week was our first week of school. So we've been through 1 week already.
And what's the basketball players like? Are you having open gym after school right now, or what's the typical day look like for some of the basketball players at your school right now?
Yeah, so like right now, it's like on Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, we'll lift the whole period. Big on that, and we lift throughout the season as well, whether it's day before a game, day after a game, or whatever. I always want our guys to be in top shape. I know some coaches don't want to lift as much during the season. We'll taper off the weights as far as how much we lift during the playoffs, but we're going to lift, and I think it's just a kind of a physical thing for us. Just want our guys to be extremely physical, have a lot of confidence going out there playing against better people, bigger schools, whatever. So we lift. Right now, we're lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. When the season starts, we're allowed to practice officially. We'll just lift on Mondays and Wednesdays. But since kind of the preseason, you would say, before basketball starts, we're lifting right now Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday and Thursday, we're doing some agility, plyometric stuff, some of the things that, I've learned over the years, been to a lot of different colleges and kind of see their workouts and what they do. So we do a lot of plyo boxes, heavy jump ropes, medicine ball stuff, some shuffling drills, some ladders, just a whole bunch of agility type stuff to kind of get them as much as athletic as they can be heading into the season. And then we do an open gym Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, sometimes Friday. I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday. So pretty much the gym's gonna be open after school, except for on Wednesdays. Kind of let them do their thing, go home or whatever. So once again, there's really not an excuse to they're going to get a good workout during this class period, but then after school, that gym's open. So there's no excuse not to get in there.
Nice. So like right now, as we speak, then school's been in session for a week, but for a lot of the basketball players, once school is out, they have the ability to go to the gym and put some shots up.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, Coach, 2 more questions, then we're going to let you go because I know you're busy. Get your week ready for school next week. As far as your fall schedule, what's probably one of the best events you're going to probably do that the boys can look forward to?
We're going to go to that I-35 showdowns here in one's in San Antonio, one's in Round Rock with Alamo City Hoops. Antonio does a good job of bringing in. He brings in teams from all over the state, all over Texas, which is really good for us because we kind of don't want to play the same guys. Love playing new guys. Just to challenge our guys. So those are going to be really tough. And then we're going to play in the Gasso. There's a Gasso here in San Antonio. I think it's in September something. So we're going to play in that. Anytime you play in a Gasso, obviously there's going to be great teams in there. And we're always going to I'm not going to say a disadvantage, but, we're always, probably the only 3A school in these events. A lot of these events is pretty much strictly 5A, 6As. I think a lot of that has to do with, 5A, 6As, you got a lot of straight basketball guys, but so do we. So that's why we get in these events. But also too, I think sometimes maybe 3As or schools that are smaller, they don't want to play against teams like this because maybe they're scared of losing or something. But for me, I don't care whether we win or lose, and especially in the fall or the summer. I mean, that doesn't mean anything to me. I look at them as they're free games. And so if we can play the best competition we can play, and if we lose some games, it's fine. It's not going on our record or anything, if we win, that's great. But I think, having your guys competing against better players and better teams, that'll serve you in the long run for sure.
I think it's really cool to see you play in those events. I've seen you playing them over the years, and you mentioned like the Alamo City Hoops event, the I-35 showdown. When is that? Is that coming up here pretty soon?
Yeah, I think the one in San Antonio is like September 17th. I think there's a Gasso on the 24th, and then like October 1st, there's another I-35. It's in Round Rock, so we'll be at all of those actually.
So in here in about another month or so, your high school guys will be playing in those events, and those are some of my favorite kind of events because I know that we always see like the grassroots and AAU tournaments and stuff, but it's cool to see kind of these high school tournaments where it's almost like a little combination of like it's got almost a grassroots feel to it, right, but it's the actual high school teams. And I like seeing teams like yours 3A play against some of these big names because in a regular season we would never see anything like that. And I think that those type of games and those type of events need a little bit more attention because although they're not like in season UIL games or whatever, you still basically have like the high school teams and pretty much complete rosters minus a few football guys here and there, but they get to square up. It'd be just like us having to wait till the season to see them play, but they actually have like their high school roster. So I get really excited about these high school team events like the I-35 showdown you mentioned and the Gasso events. So I think just people need to give those things more attention because you actually get a good look at the schools in their rosters and how their guys play because like I said, it's almost like that combination between like a grassroots or AAU. You gotta have that flexibility and that fun, but you actually have like the high school team. So looking forward to see how you guys do and see what kind of matchups you guys get.
Yeah, for sure. We're always excited to play in those things. And like I said, it's pretty well run. And so we're excited to compete, against whoever we compete against. And I tell those guys, whether it's Blue at the Gasso or Antonio, it's like, man, I don't care who we play, you don't got to lighten up a schedule for us. We'll play whoever. I'm just worried about our guys getting better, especially in these events.
You ever call out for some of the 6A state champs or anything?
No, but I just tell them we'll play against whoever. If you look at our non-district schedule, that's all we play is 6As anyways. So, we don't play pretty much anything but 6A, 5A or 6As in non-district. So, I've never turned down a game from a big school. That's for sure. I'll tell you this, I turned down a lot of games. There's a lot of 3A schools that want to play just because, obviously we're one of the top teams in 3As, but not that I'm trying to big time them or anything. It just goes back to I want to play guys that are better than us because I think that's going to help us. And these events certainly help us. And then, like I said, our non-district schedule is usually pretty tough. That'll help us in the long run.
All right, Coach, my last question. I'm going to leave you alone, let you get ready for the week. If you had a new coach that you were kind of mentoring or just, giving some advice to, a new high school basketball coach, and again, I know, you had a lot of great talent. So getting in front of college coaches was very easy from that perspective. What advice would you give that young coach in reference to how to build relationships with college coaches to get them to possibly come to their schools and check out their talent?
College coaches, they're not going to come to your school unless you got players. Obviously, we've been fortunate enough to have players that have been in our program. So we've had a lot of college. We've had almost anybody and everybody come to our school. And so that's been lucky for us. But, I know one thing that I do all the time, whether we have players or not, I've already talked to two college coaches just like 3 days ago. I think in about 2 weeks, I'm going to go up to Baylor, watch them work out. I'm going to go up to UT Arlington. I know some of those coaches really well because they've been through our program. And I just told them, I was like, hey, man, can I go watch y'all work out for a day or two? I'm like, you don't got to do anything for me. Just get me in the gym, let me sit down, let me have my pen and paper. I just want to watch you guys work out, see what you guys do, see if I can learn anything from y'all. And, obviously they, having those connections because I know them because of, they've been in our gym. That helps. But I think just being a willing learner, I think sometimes, we magically think college coaches are going to come to our gym or, you're just going to have this stud player that's going to be on your team. That's not always the case. And sometimes you got to go out there. You got to do things on your own. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've emailed college coaches. I've emailed college coaches all over the country. Hey, can I come watch you work out? Can I spend a day with you guys? I've been to UTEP. I've watched them work out. Been to UNLV, watched them work out. Went to Arizona State a couple of years ago, watched them work out. So I'm constantly always trying to learn from guys that are way better than me. But I think that's one of the things that I would tell a young coach that wants to kind of get some college connections. And, you're going to email a lot of these college coaches, or 90% of them going to answer your email? Probably not, but there's be, 2 or 3 that may answer your email and be like, yeah, come on. And, whenever you get that answer, you got to go. And so I've done that. And I think over the years, I've met a lot of these coaches. And so now I'm on a good, basis with them to where, if I want to go watch somebody work out, we can make it happen for sure.
Got anything else for Coach?
No, it's been a great interview. Thanks for the time. Thanks for sharing your experience with us. And I did want to make a comment earlier. So you're starting your 6th year at Cole. You said you did 5 years at Victoria West. Was that was a different high school, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it's 5A here in Victoria.
Nice. So, you've got like at least 11 years and you look real young. So keep up the good work. You got a lot of experience at the head coach level. So, just wanted to kind of give you a shout out on that. That's it though.
Well, with that being said, Coach, anything else you want to mention about the program or what we need to be looking for? Because, everyone knows I'm your guide to where I'll be following you. So, anything we need to know?
No, I think we'll surprise people. I think people assume that we're not going to be as good as we've been in the past. And we've lost a lot of talent. But, I think what people underestimate a lot of times about teams is, the culture, the work ethic, toughness that people have, the attention to detail. And I love where our guys are with all of those things. Our guys are always going to play hard. They're going to work really hard. They're dedicated. So I think we're going to surprise a lot of people that probably don't think we're going to be as good as we normally are. And it's also a great challenge for us and our guys. I think we probably got a chip on our shoulder this year because I think, people assume we're not going to be as good. So it's really kind of motivated us as a coaching staff and as a team. So I'm looking forward to the season. Hopefully, we can get back to a state tournament for the 5th year in a row, try to keep that thing going.
Hey, I appreciate it, Coach. Again, thank you again for coming on and just, taking the time out your day to just talk to us and, our viewers and everything. And again, I'll be watching you. I'm definitely going to try to come to a few of those practices, and I hope you don't mind me pulling my camera out and recording a little bit. I'll make sure I don't record too much, but I definitely will be out there, Coach. Thank you again.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys are doing a really good job. So keep up the good work, man. And like I said, thanks for having me on. Been following what you guys are doing. I think it's a really good thing. Just kind of talking to different high school coaches. So really appreciate you guys having me.
All right, Coach. Thanks.
All right. You guys have a great weekend.
You too.
You too. You go ahead and actually kick it off. But Troy, nice to meet you. And
nice to meet you too.
Yeah, my name is Boris Davis. But Tally, let's just go ahead and kick it off. Why don't you give a rundown of Troy, kind of some of his accolades.
Yeah.
And then definitely. Troy, we'll let you come and kind of give your own introduction after that. But Tally, go ahead and introduce our guest speaker to our viewers.
All right. It's a great pleasure to get the opportunity to just conversate with Mr. Troy Horne. First, he's a musician. He's a Broadway actor and also an author of, I thought only 2 books, but as I did some research, I see you got at least 4 books out there. Am I right? Yes, or am I off a little bit?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And then also he has his own podcast, and I'll let him go ahead and finish introducing yourself. Go ahead.
And before you jump in, I know that you went through a long list of things. And one of the things that with this being a basketball centered show, I'm speaking to our viewers right now. Tally has listened and read to his books. And so we're going to lead with the author, and then he speaks about the basketball community and sheds positive light. So that's, one of the main reasons that caught our attention is that with us being involved in the basketball community, we have an author that has invested and written, authored multiple books about the basketball community. So I didn't want to jump in, but I didn't want us to just like breeze over the part that he's the author for a basketball book. And that's, why part of the reason why we have him on the show. But sorry to jump in there, but Troy, go ahead and reintroduce yourself to our audience.
Yes. So my name is Troy Horne. I just, was kind of dropped into the whole basketball community, wrote a couple of books because as the story goes, when my son, I'm a musician, as we just covered, right? And so one day I'm picking up my son, Moses, from elementary school. And his gym teacher comes out and says, hey, you should look into some basketball. He seems to have aptitude for it. This young man was in music. We had him doing piano lessons. That was nowhere on the radar. So I jumped in, as most of us do. And I got him signed up to the YMCA and started learning about it because I didn't play basketball. I didn't, I fell in love with it because he was in love with it. Right. And in the journey, I started learning so much about this injury and so much about just the whole deal. It was really exciting to see him grow and see him go and do his thing and to be able to help him just by, being around people like you all and learning, the whole world of AAU. So that's kind of like what led into the books and all those other things.
Well, I'm gonna say the title of your book. It's called the AAU Basketball Bible.
Yes.
And it's mainly for parents.
Yes.
And again, as a coach / parent, I think it's for coaches also.
Yes.
Brand new coaches who want to get on the scene and want to really say, hey, I want to try this AAU out and don't even have an investment as far as just loving the kids. It's for them also. And really, I want to definitely plug that multiple times while we're talking. I want to keep plugging that book because again, you talk a lot of facts to the point to where as though you let everybody know it's definitely more than one way to skin a cat, but the way you went about this journey, I've seen a lot of the things, and that's why I think we relate so much because everything you mentioned, I've came across. So you have not said anything to where I'm like, no, you're wrong. No, you didn't do that. And yes, I did change my voice there. That's my me voice. I apologize. But so with that being said, that was one of the main reasons to make sure we get you on to just, again, show the parents that we do care enough that there's educational material out there for you other than just listen to myself and Boris here, the Talking Heads, and just spew whatever we want to spew. But again, there's facts. And then the fact that you're not even here when I listen to the audiobook, it's just, I'm telling you, it was crazy because you're in Denver, Colorado.
Yes.
Right. And here we are in San Antonio, and it was again so many facts that you put out, and I was like, man, this guy, I gotta know this guy. We gotta connect some way. So again, thank you again.
And I got a couple of things.
Yes,
and
sir.
You're in Colorado. Here we are in Texas. Which a lot of people consider to be the Mecca of basketball. Here in Texas, we're in San Antonio. We got Houston and Dallas, which is real heavy in the grassroots basketball scene.
Yep.
And you're doing your thing out in Colorado, but due to technology and just finding some good in the world, we're able to connect and share some of your work with our viewers. But you mentioned it once, but can you just go over one more time, like why did you write this book, the AAU Basketball Bible, which is the one that caught Tally's attention?
Right. Yeah.
Why did you write that book?
Well, we had a really great journey, and it's for the love of my son. I just really wanted to help him like understand it. And then I saw so many families struggling with the same stuff. And I thought, let me write it down because we were really blessed to be able, to on our podcast sit down with, guys who were playing in college, who are now playing overseas. We got to talk with Chauncey Billups. He got to train with Chauncey Billups because Chauncey was here. He got to talk with Jason Richardson. He got to talk with Kobe Bryant. It's like he got to talk with all these people on the podcast. And I was like, this is a gift that they're giving to us we had talked to John Lucas, and I grew up in Houston, so I know, a little bit about, the Houston scene. I grew up down there, but we got to talk with John Lucas. We got to talk with all these people about the AAU basketball world and this journey of me trying to help him. And honestly, man, I just saw so many people struggling and so many people frustrated, so many people, kids losing the love of the game. And it wasn't because for any other reason except for they just didn't understand what the business part of youth sports is. And, love it or not, it becomes a business very early. And you can decide to not do that part, but you should at least know what it is. You should at least be aware that it exists. You know what I'm saying? So I wrote the book to help other families kind of navigate the stress and frustration and know what's coming towards them before they get, smacked down with it. So
And so you wrote this to help parents, just to, I guess, increase awareness at what stage in the game, like when they're about to start playing AAU basketball, or once they're in high school, like once they're in high school about to play AAU basketball, or when they're still young, like what was the kind of the target audience or age group of parents that you kind of wanted to help out?
7th and 8th grade, because that's when it starts. And we talked with Chauncey about it on our podcast, and he said about 7th to 8th grade, I decided this is what I'm doing. And he said, I played football, I played baseball. He goes, I was a great football player, I was a great baseball player. He goes, but around 7th, 8th grade, I said, okay, because as I'm going into high school, I knew that for me to be, what I needed to be, as far as a basketball player, to get out of Denver and to be able to play at the collegiate level, I needed to focus on this thing. And that's what he said happened for me. He goes, it doesn't have to be for everybody, but he goes, for me, that's what, I feel like I needed to do. So the book is really targeted for people who are in that 7th to 8th grade age range, as they're getting ready to understand, okay, now we're getting into AAU for real, and we're getting ready to go into high school. Let's start understanding what we're stepping into as we start to play in 8th and 9th grade.
I call the middle school the first tryouts for high school. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Right? It's the first real tryout to be told, hey, I can't play or I can play.
Right.
And so that's great that you said that in reference to, I think that's why we connect so well on that piece right there, because you're right. That's the part. That's the really important, hey, can I or can I?
Right.
So real quick, and I guess I probably could have did a little bit more research, but I was so excited about the interview and everything.
Yeah, no.
How old is Mo now?
He's 17. He's going into his senior year. Yeah.
And I saw, and it led up to my question. I saw he won state for that. Is that high school basketball? They won state.
High school basketball in Florida. Yeah, they are out there at the Rock. It's a national program. This year is going to be a fun year for him, man. They're playing in the Chick-fil-A Classic. They're playing in City of Palms. They're doing all the big stuff. So I'm excited for him, and it's funny because as a dad who has been so involved in this journey, as much as it kind of, hurts my heart to let go, it's like at this point, it has to become his journey. And that's hard. Oh my God, that's so hard. But, it's like at some point, these kids are looking to enter into the collegiate world where the coaches really want to hear from them. They want to know that they want to be there on campus. They want to know that they understand the game of basketball. They don't want us to be like, hey, have you talked to them about the way you can read a 2-3 defense, or, the way you can, split the zone or any of that stuff. They don't want to hear any of that stuff. They want to hear what the kid loves, what the kid knows. And so, yeah, man, it's been a tough journey, letting it be his journey. So,
well, I admire the way you kind of allowed, and I hear what you're saying in reference as both of your journeys, really.
Right.
But I love the fact that you made him so involved, to where as though you didn't do like I see a lot of parents to where they're trying to live through for the most part, and they just guide without, the hands on. But you did it to where as though you kind of allowed him to be on the steering wheel too, through the podcasting and the interviews of the other players. And like you said, them haven't worked out with other NBA players. And I heard the interview with him and John, like John Lucas talking to him, and just getting involved in all that. I think that's really important because now he has to, along the way, am I correct? He had to take some ownership in his journey.
Yeah. Yes, he has to take ownership. Yeah, he had to take ownership, and now it's, he's taking ownership in his journey, and I'm learning to step back and go, okay, so what do you think? How do you think this should happen? What do you think you should do? And let it be his deal. So it's been cool. It's been very cool. And that's hard as a parent, because you spend so much time with these kids. As you know, it's like you spend time on the planes, you spend time in the hotels, some of them which are nice, some of them which are like, I don't know that I'd necessarily be staying in this hotel if I wasn't at this tournament with you. Right. But it's like, it's we've had we've had hotels with bugs in them, and like it's been quite a journey. We've had nice hotels, we've had, it's a sacrifice for all of us.
And understanding that, traveling, that you're right, but going back to the book and not giving too much of the book away, because again, I would, love to promote the book and get as many people out there that really want to, hey, read or listen to what I listen to. I had 4 chapters that really stood out to me.
Great.
Chapter 4, don't take your kid's dream away. For me, that was so powerful, because I believe in any sport, not just basketball, but any sport, a lot of parents don't let their kids really reach their full potential by allowing them to believe in themselves or dream.
Right.
And it's like, and I was listening to you, and you were like, that's one thing you gave Mo, the opportunity to just dream of believing that, hey, I'm gonna get here. But you put so many things, I'm not gonna say obstacles, but you did put some roadblocks or some restrictions. You did put those right restrictions in his way to say, hey, listen, you're gonna have to, you gotta get up early and work hard. Yes, you can take a day off, but you can't take this many days off and things like that. And that's the restrictions that I'm talking about. So can you kind of elaborate on that? Just like what, again, being a artist of yourself, what really just made you not be that parent that just want to just say, you know what, it don't matter, I'm just going to, and coddle them so much? What made you just, kind of allow them to guide them that way?
Yeah, for me, it was when I was growing up to be a musician, I heard all the time, you can't do it. It's not going to work out. You're not going to be able to make it. You need something else to, fall back on or whatever. And I'm a knucklehead. So I was like, I want to raise some knuckleheads that are kind of like, hey, I'm gonna make it happen no matter what. So all that to say was like, I showed him, I said, look, you can turn this into something that becomes your livelihood, but you're gonna have to work. And so I wanted to make sure that he really wanted to do these things. And by that I meant, it's like, hey, look, the first year I said, you need to wake me up, at 4, because school starts at 8. And this was a kid that was in, I think it was in 6th grade. He said, and he woke me up, man. He woke me up like almost every day, and to a point where I was like, okay, we're gonna need to pull this back. Let's do 3 days a week. But at that point, I knew that he was into it, and I just wanted him to struggle a little more in the beginning, so that he would have that in his mindset that, hey, I'm gonna have to work for this, and it's not gonna be easy, and they're going to be ups and they're going to be downs, and no matter what, I can get through it, And so that's why I was kind of, setting the idea that you're going to have to work for it. You can have the dream, but you're going to have to work for it, and you have to work really hard for it. There's a reason why they pay you guys, I don't know, when they get to the league or whatever, millions of dollars.
Right.
It's because you worked for it. They're not just going to drop it on you because they love you. There are a lot of kids that want to live this dream, and if you want to go get it, you're gonna have to work for it. And so that's kind of what I wanted to instill in him from the very beginning.
Well, again, the level and where he's at right now, and obviously it paid off and it worked. So kudos to you, and just making sure you stick to that. My second, now this one's a little bit more controversial. So again, we don't have to talk too much about this one. It was chapter 8 in the right teams. Because again, I don't want to step on no toes, because this was a tough one to talk about, have the fact that I have a program.
Right,
this was because hey, listen, when you were talking, I was cringing every time. I was like, ooh, don't say that. So I'm just gonna be honest to you, okay? You made me cringe on this chapter, but again, it's something we got to talk about. And so, like I said, and it's called, that chapter 8 is called The Right Team. Want to elaborate on that one? Because you let us know that he played on multiple. So go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the deal. All that shifted with the unpredictable COVID. It's like COVID has changed the game.
Yes.
And I'm so glad you asked that question, because now it's really about, relationships, because you've got kids that, years prior would have had multiple, schools looking at them, multiple schools saying, hey, I want you come play for me, blah, because they were getting them straight out of high school. Right. Now we've got kids in the transfer portal that are playing extra year. We've got kids that are a JUCO or Division 3, Division 4 who had a great season, who are moving up to play Division 1. Right. And now you've got, kids that are at prep school who did a fifth year prep school. So it's like all that stuff about having to play on a Adidas EYBL, there's still value in that. Right. But it's really about the kid and the coach and them making their own inlays into, and if I could go back and I knew COVID was coming, which none of us did, I would say freshman year, sophomore year of high school, start reaching out to coaches as players, as individuals regionally, because now you're on their radar and now you're making relationships, because this game has changed to be about who do we know nearby, who we can, bring in to work out or be around our kids or be around our program, who actually cares about our program and can actually play at this level. Because COVID, it shifted it all up, so
it changed the game.
I think
the game.
You mentioned a very good gym just now, a gym like a jewel.
Yeah.
You said that now freshmen and sophomores have to start taking that initiative and reaching out to college coaches in their freshman and sophomore year. And you mentioned that, COVID helped or started making people realize that, but that's something that players have needed to do for a while, because a lot of people wait until their senior year, or that summer after their junior year. That's when they don't have any offers. Then they want to start reaching out to college coaches. Then they want to start going to those prospect camps and going to those elite camps and doing all that stuff when they're in their senior year. And like you just mentioned, you can't build a relationship in 1 year. You got to start reaching out to these coaches freshman, sophomore year. That way you give the coaches enough time to see how the player develops, and you actually can build that relationship over 2 years. So you mentioned a lot of very good things, but one thing that really caught my attention is when you said players that are in their freshman and sophomore year need to start reaching out to coaches then to start developing those relationships. So,
and show interest in them, It's like, there are a lot of kids. I mean, there are a lot of kids that reach out and say, hey, I just scored 40, or I went for 30, or I got blah. It's like, what I want these kids to understand is, and again, something that we kind of just learned recently, is that all these coaches that you're talking to, they were that guy in high school. So for you to come up and say, I did 20, I got 30, it's like, I did too. So do you care about this school? Do you care about this program? Do you care about, what we're doing here? Because I'm glad you had 20 and 30 and 50 rebounds, but I did the same thing. So how are you going to contribute to our program? Do you even care about us? Show us that you care about us. And I think the kid needs to find a place where they actually care about the program and be a part of the ecosystem of the school or the university. So.
Right there that was huge. Again, that's
another gym.
Yeah, that is, because a lot of people don't teach that right there, what you just talked about, Mr. Horne, to where as though it's like, hey, care about the program, or know a little bit about the program that you're going into. Don't just say, hey, I want to go to Duke, but why do you want to go to Duke? What does Duke offer for you that you can, get somewhat of a degree, hopefully, out of it, and then contribute? If you don't go to the NBA, what is the end result? And that's powerful right there. Because again, I don't hear people talk about that. I have not heard in the last 6 years anyone say that right there, what you just said.
And I want to elaborate on that a little bit more too, because you're right. That's a very good point as well, as far as showing interest in the university. And some kids might say, oh, well, that's too hard. Or how do I do research about that school? Well, if getting recruited was easy, everybody would be recruited.
He got his hands
So
up.
you need to put in some legwork and do your research to find out. If you can't think of something, you need to find something that's genuine that you can use when you do reach out to these coaches and email these coaches. And that's just part of the game, because it's not easy to get recruited. You can't just think that you're the only, like you said, if they come in and score 30 points in a game, you can't just think you can just throw that out there and then all of a sudden you're going to have people that come to you. No, like the kids have to work just as hard as the coaches,
right?
Do their research, find a good fit, get themselves out there with exposure and making those contacts and stuff like that. But I think that, just to hit on that point again, like you said, as far as why are you interested in that school? Players need to start realizing that they need to do research so that they're not sending out that same generic email that says, "Hi, coach." It's generic. No, you need to take time out of your day. And this is a school that you're seriously trying to get a scholarship from, because keep in mind, these scholarships are worth real money. It's going to save people money, these scholarships. So treat it like a job, and I just, think it's really important. Like you said, do your research on the school, find something that you're genuinely interested in that you can reach out to that college coach about. So
exactly. I mean, and like you said, the beautiful thing that y'all have for the kids out there watching, we were using the Encyclopedia Britannica. We didn't have the internet. We had books that were outdated probably by the time we got them. You guys can go on the internet and Google these guys and learn about them and learn about their life, learn about what they're doing. They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram. Care about them. You want them to care about you, care about them. Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So then let's move into my next one. You kind of stole chapter 12 from me because you said relationships, but it's okay though. We're going to go ahead because I did have one more, and that was summer camp. So I guess we'll just breeze over relationships because you mentioned that one already. And that was again, you really touched a lot in that right there. But we're going to talk about chapter 10, summer camps. Being here I don't hear enough about summer camps. When I know I was on the East Coast back in 2008 time frame when I was at AAU there. That's all they did. If you didn't go to summer camps during the summertime, you were losing out. And now it's starting to be a thing again. I don't know if COVID helped it, but I know summer camps are starting to be really, really a thing. And I hear a lot of programs talk about that. So you want to elaborate on that? Like some good camps that people might, want to look into, or
in hindsight, looking at and they're probably all changing now, with the camps that we've been since high school. The camps have kind of gone away because you're playing AAU pretty much all summer. So I mean, the camps that we do in high school are pretty much what they call the elite camps at the college that you're going to. So a lot of some colleges will have what they call elite camps, or they'll have these one-day events that are $75 to $100 or whatever, and the coaches are all there, and it's a great opportunity to get in front of the coaches that are actually at that university. In middle school, man, we did so many fun camps. John Lucas was great. John Lucas camps were great, and I love John Lucas camps because he has a moment in there where he talks to you and he says, "Have you guys ever been to any John Lucas camps at all?" Or
no, I haven't had the opportunity to go. Okay. A few of my players went, but I didn't go. One of my trainers, our head trainer of my program, he's an actual John Lucas trainer. So
beautiful.
He comes back with a lot of nuggets all the time. So, but go ahead.
I love his camps, man. He keeps it real. It's like you get to see, a lot of top players in the area or whatever and play against them, which is also good. Obviously you have to work your way up in the whatever they want to call it at the camp, where you're playing against these kids, but you get to see the kids that they have their eyes on already. And you get to play against them. And so it's a moment for you to kind of see where you are in the skill level, next to a kid who's ranked, I don't know, top 10 or top 20 or whatever in the country. And in middle school, as far as good camps to go to, in hindsight, I really love the PGC stuff because you get to learn the game, for the players that are going to be guards. That's anyone under 6'6" and below. I would really start learning the actual game of basketball, because when you learn the game of basketball, it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously, you know, it's still like they like the guys that are 6'7", the taller guys. But but when you have the knowledge of the game, like a Chris Paul or a Dame Lillard or a Steph Curry, the game is pretty even when you know, okay, they're gonna run this Iverson screen. He's gonna come off this during these two screens right here is when I can either shoot the gap or I can meet him on the side. Like when you start understanding the actual plays, the game changes. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter how big the dude is if you know where he's going to be. Because I know you're not going to be creating anything right now. I know your assignment, because I've seen this play, is you're going to be right there on the block. That's where you're going. Right. So it doesn't matter what we do on the interim. I know that's where you're going. And I know the ball is going to come from this guy to you right here, no matter what you do. Right. So that's why I say going to like stuff like PGC, going to games places where you can learn the game of basketball are great. John Lucas is great. It's a great place to go and kind of test your skills against other players. Where else did we go that was kind of a good camp for him to in middle school? What did we do? There were so many, man. I should have written down a few.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
But the college camps are great. PGC is great. John Lucas is great. They had this one called ABC camp, I believe. I don't know if they have them anymore even. We did an interview with one of the young ladies from that camp. That was really great because they learned the game a lot there. But I think that the focus is, no matter where you are, is to evaluate camps that are going to actually get you better and not just have you playing just to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Place they're gonna learn the game. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love hearing you speak, because as I'm watching you and listening to you speak, you're like one of those active parents. Like you're speaking to us not as like an academic that says, you know, based on what I've studied, you should attend these camps, you know, to maximize. No, you're a parent that went through the, you know, went through the ropes. Like you were mentioning before, you know, you stayed at the hotels, you traveled, you went to these camps, just like a lot of these parents that are watching the show now do, you know. So, you know, as I hear you just like kind of look back on some of those camps and think about that, I'm just still kind of in awe. And I just think it's awesome that you documented this and that, you know, you created a resource to kind of give back, because these are the type of experiences and questions that a lot of parents of athletes have, but they just don't really know like who to ask or
there's nowhere to go,
who to look to. But to just hear an honest opinion and honest experiences from another parent, set the whole author, musician, any other things aside, you know, you're a parent, you know, that had a kid that's an athlete. Your experiences, I'm sure that they can gain a lot from that as well. So you know, it's just great to hear you just, you know, talk about those experiences, because I'm sure it hits home with a lot of our viewers, because we do, if you're in the basketball community, you've done a lot of those same things. So
yes.
And that kind of leads to my last question, as far as like, actually I wrote down and kind of had some thought to it, was the fact that you made the Aau Basketball Bible, and then the second book you came out with, and I kind of laugh about it, because when I started listening to it, I was like, that's not Troy's voice. Something's wrong here. This is not Troy, but he has his name on it. And again, it's a book that your son is talking to basketball players. When I say that right there is like so important, because so many kids, as far as, you know, our kids that listen to us, they don't really believe us to a point. To hear it from a peer that's actually doing it, that's huge. That's huge. Not too many. Like I'm trying to get a lot of my guys that, you know, I have in my group and my circle and everything, to come on the show and to promote them as individuals and, you know, do the same things you did. But to hear that book and to hear him just like talking, and it's like, oh, first I got to get you on first. Then when we get done with this, I'm definitely going to listen to that one to the point to where as though it's like, wow, this young man is spewing some real good, I mean, true information, like gems. Is like, wow. So definitely a book I'm pushing right now too. You know, other with the AAU Basketball Bible is the mental. It's
I
called the
appreciate
mental
that, man.
toughness.
Yeah.
And who idea was that to really let him be the narrator?
You know, we were talking, and a lot of parents, like you said, we were going through this whole thing, and they were saying, how are you getting, Moses to be able to do this, and how are you helping Moses do that? And we were talking, and I thought, I saw them trying to sometimes implement some of the things that we were talking about in mental toughness for young athletes with their kids. But we all know kids, you say, and it's like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know, Coach. But if Joe down the street says it, it's the gospel,
Exactly.
so I was like, hey, let's give them an option where they can listen to, where kids out there can listen to another kid who's had this experience talk about this experience. Because I saw that, kids, for whatever reason, we all love them, but they don't really listen to us. So
No.
I figured, hey, let's let them listen to another kid who's going through it. So that's how that all started.
Again, that was a great idea. And like I said, I'm gonna promote it, but I haven't totally listened to it. As it is in my audio books.
Oh, beautiful.
Again, I haven't listened to that one yet because I'm still trying to just use all of the information from the actual AAU Basketball Bible just to make sure, as our journey going where it's going, that I fulfill that part first. And then, like I said, we'll go ahead and make sure as this basketball season comes up, I'm gonna give all my guys the mental toughness book to kind of just sit down and read, and just hopefully they gain something from it. But again, I'm a big supporter of both books, and
beautiful.
And again, I think, like I told you and I talked to you, it was just very easy talking to you. And I think Boris hit it best. The fact that you're a dad first, from all of your other accolades that you've created. If you all, and you know what? The funny part is you always said that. In the beginning of the book, you said that I'm a dad first. Yeah. So again, kudos to you. And just my next question, just off one, just listen to you talk. How do you feel in reference to the prep versus the high school aspects?
Woo. Okay. Yeah. So this is,
I heard you say Moses is actually he's in prep, right? Because he's not in. So that's why I asked that question. Just kind of let a little bit people know, kind of pull back the curtain on him a little bit.
And also, I wanted to just help our viewers too. When you say prep, are we talking about a prep high school?
Preparatory high school, yes.
Because sometimes, for people that's new to the game, you can sometimes get it mixed up when you think about a prep, because there's prep schools that are like post grad.
Right.
That's different than like a prep high school. So,
right.
I guess for your question, you're asking about the prep high schools experience.
Yeah. Preparatory high schools versus the actual public high schools, or like for ours is our UIL schools, and then we have our privates. So there's a difference of the two. So the fact he's not in a public high school, how do you what's your thoughts on that versus the two? Because he had opportunity. I'm sure he had opportunity to go, because I know one of the things in the book you mentioned that there was a point where he wasn't the best player, trying to try out to where as though he become a player that competes at a level to where as though he gets selected. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Again, man, the thing that has shifted everything has been COVID. It has changed everything. The thing that I love about prep is they're playing basketball. And this is from someone who's watched a lot of basketball now, as from his 5th grade or whatever year. Basketball they're playing is different. It's just different. It's a different level of basketball. It's a different level of players. And so as far as that aspect goes, I think prep is really good for them as a skill level. Okay. Now, that being said, if you're in high school, what I've also seen, if you're in high school and you're playing in a place where you get to kind of shine as an individual player, that has also worked with people, because they're like, well, this kid is our guy. Okay. And the coaches, from the high school will make calls for the kid who is, their star player. So, there are, like you said, there are many ways to skin a cat, but the thing that I love about what he's doing over there at the Rock with those guys is like, it's beautiful to watch.
Okay.
I mean, the way the ball moves, the way the guys play, and this is their second year coming back after winning state, and they just, I saw them this summer, and I'm just like, this is different.
Right.
This is different.
Right.
So
real quick, what are we, as far as, again, this is just talking now. It's not, just I'm feeding off what you're telling me. So what colleges are we looking at? Because you don't mention none of that in the book now. Because again,
with him, it's very interesting because he has talked with a lot of schools, and I think he's talked with so many. He's talked with he's got his list, and he's probably sent it to me. Well, there are a few. Talked with Wichita State. He talked with.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm just.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's just conversation.
That's this list here, and I probably have it somewhere on my phone. But he's talked with at least 15 to 20 schools that he's talked to.
Wow.
And I'm blanking on all of them except for Wichita State because we just actually got through kind of having an in-depth conversation with them a couple of weeks ago or so. For a possible, recruitment for this senior year. But yeah, he's talked to a lot of them, at least 15 to 20 schools that he's kind of, in conversation with right now, which is really cool. For him, I'm like, look, man, I need for you to pick a space that's not only be good for you as an individual player, but also good for you as a human being.
Right.
He's talked with FAMU there in Florida. They're starting to trickle back into my head.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, we don't really need specific names or nothing.
Yeah.
But real quick, you have a son that's like actively in the recruiting game. So can you just like do a little quick advertisement for him? Tell him, like, in case there's coaches watching this, which there are some college coaches that's watching it. Can you just basically just like snapshot? Who's your son? Where's he at right now? In case they want to go and do some research and learn more about him.
Yeah, Moses Horne. He's a point guard, shooting guard out at the Rock School in Gainesville, Florida. And those kids out there are playing real basketball. They've got, him. There's a kid named there's so many kids. There's so many. You got to check out the Rock Basketball in Gainesville, Florida. His name is Moses Horne. And
so that was the thing. I never heard of that organization. So it's called The Rock, and it's out in Gainesville, Florida. The Rock is like it's like a preparatory program out there in Gainesville, Florida. Okay, that was the big thing. Just so that anybody that's watching right now, and since your son's actively trying to be recruited right now, I mean, and as you know, part of the recruiting game is all about exposure
of course
making those connections. So who knows, there might be some coaches watching this show right now looking for some point guards, shooting guards, and they can go check out Moses Horne over at the Rock.
And Coach Justin Harden. Yeah, those kids, man, again, I've watched a lot of basketball over these years, and the stuff that they're doing right now it's really beautiful. And it's just, when the game is played right, it looks different. Y'all know what I mean. It's a totally different game when it's played the right way. And as a parent who grew up hearing, not grew up, but grew up with him hearing, played the game the right way, and I was like, what does that mean? We just got to go out there and just put it on them, and leave with the trophy and all that stuff. That was me. I was like, hey, the right way is, did we win or did we, hey, that's the right way. Did we win the game? Great. Then we play the right way. But when you start seeing the kids actually understand, okay, I can do a no look because I already know we're filling the lanes when we run down the field. We're not just running straight towards the basket. We're filling the lanes. We're spreading the floor. So when I come down, I already know my guy's over here. So drop it off to him, and it's easy. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see.
And that's the not funny, but funny part about you. That's why I told you I gravitated to you. I was listening to you. You're a true basketball dad. And the reason here's why I'm gonna tell you this. So I'm listening to you tell the story about your son, Here you are having the opportunity to promote Moses, but what did you do? You promote the team. You are, that's genuine. A lot of people wouldn't have did that. It probably was just stuck on their son saying, hey, he's dropping this point guard, hey, give him the opportunity. But no, you're going more into, hey, listen, it's not just him on that team. It's a lot of good kids, and giving the opportunity for those kids to be, if a college coach is watching, say, oh, really? So that's very, very, very respectful and very admirable of you to do that, because again, a lot of people in your situation, when they did that, they'd have been like, yeah, my son is da da da, and told all the great accolades about your son, but you didn't do that. You started, but then you start thinking you start reflecting. I could see the gears in your brain, in your head, just spinning like, man, he got such a talented team. It's not just him, and that's great to see.
Well, man, as they say, something you learn when you get older. I'm probably older than you. I got gray in my beard. I see y'all don't have any gray yet. So
no. Try again. I saw your age, but I got you beat. So try again. 72
what?
over here. 72. 72.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's not the year I was born, everybody, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
But what you learn, man, is what's meant for you is meant for you. It's like what they say, what God has for you is it's yours. So it's like you just need to go and step into that and know that you just need to do what's best. You need to do your best at whatever you do, and make sure that you're prepared for the opportunity. So when the opportunity comes, you're ready. But if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And that's how I feel with him. It's like, you know what? After all the stress, after all the like, hey, I got to get you, got to do this, got to do this. If it's meant for you, it is meant for you. And, you're going to be fine in life no matter what happens. And I think he's going to do great. But, it's like it allowed me to release the, I have to guide every moment, because now it's his journey,
Right.
Yeah.
And you started off with that too, as we start speaking. So, hey man, if you don't mind, I would love to have you on throughout the season of high school and the whole basketball thing. If you don't mind coming on, definitely send us the link to go ahead and we're going to put in a feed here how to get your book, both books, as far as the Aau Basketball Bible and then mental toughness. We want to both shout out to those for you on our link and everything, if you don't mind. And then
I would love that.
Ask you to come on every now and then and just talk to us. Let us know how it's going over there, man.
I would love that, man. I would love that. So where are you all on the journey as far as your youngsters out there?
So my nephew, so I had two nephews, kind of why I got started here in San Antonio. One of them, he didn't complete his journey, but he did get the opportunity to get a D1 opportunity here at the University of Incarnate Word.
Okay.
And
yes, sir.
So, exactly. So he's there. This is his first year. He's a freshman going in there. So I already let him know, hey, listen, wherever you going, I'm gonna make sure I try to be as many games as I can and supporting that deal. Then he has a younger brother that's going to be a junior, and they both went to a school called the San Antonio. It's called Cole High School in San Antonio, but for the most part, it's on a military installation. So both of those guys then made it high in the playoffs, go real deep. They won 2 state championships. So with all that being said, I got the junior, and we got some things to come up differently for him. And that's why, honestly, that's why I got the book. It was really for him and a few other my younger just guys in our program. And I just wanted to kind of hear the whole thing behind it was like I told you last week, just to hear a different voice to make sure I am doing this properly. You know what I mean? Not to say I know it all, but to know that, hey, someone did the journey a little bit before me. And kind of, put some archives in there. And here's what they learned. So just to make sure I'm going on that path the right way for them.
That's beautiful.
So, and then, I got a few kids under those guys that I'm making sure they follow me and I lead them in the right direction.
That's beautiful, man. That is great.
And like I told you last week, I did start a program.
Hey, yes.
I was the guy that said, hey man, I'm gonna start me my own team.
Yeah. That's like, in hindsight, I wish, that would have been fun to do. Yeah. But I wasn't as brave as you are. So
no, I don't know about
man.
Brave.
No, that's brave, man. That's a lot of dedication and bravery. So good for you, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
On that note, I tell I tell Coach Talley all the time that I respect what he's doing, because I get so busy doing what I do, and you know, I don't have any kids, like my own kids that are playing, but I work with kids, you know, that are trying to make it to the next level. And it requires so much just time and energy and effort just for me to keep track of, you know, a handful of kids. I can only imagine at the head of an organization, not only to keep track of all the players, but also managing those families as well. You know, the players, the families, making sure that, you know, everyone's needs and, you know, gets addressed. We got to just give a lot of love to the grassroots coaches. And because it's so easy for us to get on Twitter and see, you know, something maybe negative that these AAU coaches are doing, but we also need to think that and just remember that there's equally amount of good and sacrifice that these AAU coaches and programs do as well. So, and that's why we need people like you, people like us, trying to bring everybody together, because there's not just one right way to do something. Right. It takes a village to raise a child, because you got to have those connections. Everybody has to play nicely together. And you know, so I know I'm kind of going off on a little soapbox there, but I just wanted to
you're great.
really just say, you know, give Tally his flowers as far as you know, the impact that he's been able to have as a leader of several grassroots organizations.
Jokingly, I'm gonna let you both know, due to the fact I was in the military, I just wanted to be in charge. That's all it was. That's all it was, Troy. I just wanted to be in charge, man. No, I'm joking. No, I just wanted to make sure I give back and I assist those who I could assist. That's all. And that's why I love your personality and how you came across in the book. And it's someone who I want to connect with, because a lot of my parents are like you, you know, to where as though they ask the right questions. And I always joke with them. I tell them sometimes, I say, yeah, you know, I know we have our disagreements, but for the most part, the biggest thing they all do is want the best for their kid and believe in me. And as a program director, as a guy who started a program, who does worked with 2 of them already, it's just, you know, again, that's the part we need. We need parents like yourself, people like Boris be behind you, and just to know that, hey, whatever direction I think I'm going into, they got to be behind me to make sure that direction we get there. And that's the biggest part of all this, or the hardest part of all this, because without you, without your support, you know how it is. You've been part of multiple organizations. Again, I can't go anywhere without you. And I need the talented kids and I need the developmental kids. You need both. And a lot of people lose that focus with that. They be like, oh, no, you don't need both. No, I need both. I need those kids that's growing. And I need those kids that are really good. And then there is there's a part where we got to separate. And that's why I said middle school, and I praise you on that when you said, you know, you started this book is really for 6th and 7th and 8th graders, because middle school is the first start of high school tryouts. I believe that.
Yeah. So it's a fun journey, as you know.
Yes.
So when does their season start at Carnet Word?
They start, I want to say, next month. So this is August. So I want to say September they start. They got a little preseason stuff going on. And so they haven't released anything yet. So once they release everything, we'll be knowing where we're going or how far and this, that, and the other. So, you know, I'm gonna have to get my season tickets, of course, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but on this one, following him in this journey here, I'm gonna be sitting way afar and eat my popcorn. I'm not gonna be like I used to be his video guy sometimes and just recording all his stuff. You know, I don't need to do all that anymore. I can sit far in the stands, eat my popcorn and drink on my Pepsi or Coke, whatever they're serving over there, you know, and just enjoy his ride through all this. And so I had the opportunity to watch him in practice one time this summer, and he looked really, really good. And one thing I will say for a lot of people who don't know, if you have a small frame kid, once they get in college, they will get bulked up. They will put on that weight. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for those extra meals. Because that little fella, he didn't cut up real well. Because again, it's fast paced and it's fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful, man. Well, congratulations, y'all, man. And thank y'all for having me, man. This has been really cool.
Yeah, man. So like I say, if you don't mind, let's try to do this maybe one every 90 days or something like that, or whenever your schedule frees up, and just recap what we got going on. Because again, man, I think I'm definitely, all my kids are getting the mental toughness book, so don't worry about that. And bulk orders coming. And if you get a bulk order in, it's coming from San Antonio. I'm letting you know it's me. All right, I got you. All right.
Let's take a minute there to let the viewers know where they can learn more about you, order your books, and don't hold back. Let them know. I don't know if they're where you have your books available, if they're on Amazon, if they got to go to your website. But take a minute, Troy, to let people know how they can get in touch with you. Let them know where they can find you on social media, your website, however you want people to get in touch with you.
Beautiful. So on the best way to get in contact with us through the books is on Amazon. The Aau Basketball Bible is on Amazon. Mental Toughness for Young Athletes is on Amazon. And you'll see Moses' face on there with I think it's a lion on the other side and his face on the other side. Mental Toughness for Young Athletes. And then you can find us. You can listen to all of our stuff on Apple that we've done. Wow, man, I'm starting to tear up. Like like kind of say what do you want to say? Going back to that journey with Hoop Chalk Basketball Podcast on Apple. It's on Apple. It's on Stitcher. It's everywhere. And it's called Hoop Chalk Basketball Podcast. You can listen to our journey there. On social media, I think he's the Moses Horne on Instagram and on Twitter, and he probably has some other things that I don't know about. And then on Twitter, I'm Troy Horne Official, because someone had taken Troy Horne. So I'm Troy Horne Official, I believe, on Instagram, and then Troy Horne on Twitter or one of those things. But yeah, you can use any of those things and get into our ecosystem. Yeah, we'd love to talk to any and all of y'all. So there you go.
Well, you definitely got some followers here, and I told you, man, you did a great job expressing the whole journey. And again, I'm a big fan, and I appreciate you coming on and just talking with us. And that's all it was. That's why I'd like to keep it, because I told you in the beginning I was a little nervous, man. I haven't talked to any celebrities like yourself. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I'm a celebrity, but I appreciate it. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is so cool.
No, that's it. Gonna encourage all of our viewers to go check you out, show your support. Thank you for dropping that knowledge on us, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you all.
And then once we drop the show, I'll send you the link and everything, and you'll have it. And then I'll be promoting it on my Instagram and all my other stuff.
I'll do the same. Yeah, send me whenever, and I'll promote it as well. This has been really great.
Yes, sir.
I super appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.